Hello everyone, this is Prashanth. Let's continue with the last lecture. So in last lecture, just I have discussed about Raspberry Pi, one of the hardware device, uh, Raspberry Raspberry Pi. So now I am going to discuss about Arduino device. So these both are hardware devices to interface the IoT devices. So in the last class, just I discussed about what are the main specifications, uh, what is Raspberry Pi, what are the main specifications of Raspberry Pi, applications of Raspberry Pi, main diagram, how many pins are it having, each pin specification. So the pin specification. So these are the things I discussed in the last class. So now I'm going to discuss about Arduino Uno. What is Arduino Uno? What are the main specifications? What are the features, applications, along with the pin descriptions of Arduino Uno, real diagram, along with at final the differences between Raspberry Pi and Arduino Uno. So these are the topics I'm going to discuss right now. So these are the things I discussed in the last class. So now I'm going to enter Arduino Uno. So before Arduino Uno, we have different types of Arduino boards. So there are variety of Arduino boards used for different purpose. The board varies like input output pins, size, etc. The various components of present on the Arduino boards are microcontroller, digital input output pins, USB interface connector, analog pins, reset pins, power button, LED displays, crystal oscillator, voltage regulator. Some components may differ from the type of a board. So maximum just look like it is a credit card board. So it having different specification like microcontroller, digital input output pins, USB interfaces, connector, LED, LCD like that. So here we have Arduino Uno, Arduino Nano, Arduino Mega, Arduino Duo, and Arduino Bluetooth. So these are the some different types of Arduino board. So now I am going to discuss about for IoT device. In order to interface the IoT device, just we use Arduino Uno board. Remaining boards also same, but some pin description are different. So that is the difference among the Arduino boards. We have 5 types of Arduino boards: Arduino Uno, Arduino Nano, Arduino Mega, Arduino Duo, and Arduino Bluetooth. So now I am going to go to Arduino Uno, that is Arduino Uno. So before going to that, first what is Arduino? What is Arduino board? What are the specifications like that? So here this is the just introduction points regarding Arduino Uno board. So the Arduino Uno is a standard board of Arduino. Where here UNO means one in Italian. So it was named as Uno to label the first release of Arduino software. So here we have Arduino boards, different types of Arduino boards. So Uno means that is one. So the first kind of Arduino board is called Arduino Uno. So Uno is nothing but one, number one. In Italian language, Uno is nothing but one. That's why it is called Arduino Uno board. It is used for many applications, like I mentioned in the slide. So this is the main purpose of Arduino Uno. Why it is called Arduino Uno? It was also the first USB board released by Arduino, and it is considered as the powerful board used for in various projects. Arduino.cc developed by Arduino Uno board. So Arduino Uno is based on one microcontroller, that is at Mega 328P microcontroller. It is easy to use compared to other boards such as Arduino Mega board, etc. So that is the board consists of different analog and digital inputs, shields, other circuits like discussed in the next class. So the Arduino Uno includes 6 analog inputs, six analog inputs, 6 analog pins, 14 digital pins, some USB connector like power jack and ICSP in circuit serial programming header. It is programmed based on IDE internet download enable, which stands for integrated environment. It can run both online and offline platform. So you can use for both online and offline platform. Depends on the requirement. So these are the just introduction points regarding Arduino. So where it is came from, what is the meaning of Arduino? Arduino is the company name. Generally, Arduino is the company name. So one is is nothing but one. The version is one. That's why it is called Arduino Uno. Next, what is Arduino? First, what is Arduino means? Arduino is a software as well as hardware platform. Software and hardware platform that helps in making in electronic projects. So it is an open source platform and has a variety of controllers and microprocessor. Controller and microprocessor. There are various types of Arduino boards used for various purposes. So in last slide only we discussed about various types of Arduino boards. Arduino Arduino Bluetooth, Arduino Mega, Arduino one like that. So the Arduino is a single circuit board which consists of different interfaces or parts. Let's discuss in the next slide. The board consists of the set of digital and analog pins that are used to connect to various devices and components which we want to use for the functioning of the electronic device. So most of the Arduino consists of 14 digital input output pins and 6 analog inputs. The analog pins are Arduino is mostly useful for the fine-grained control. The pins in the Arduino board are arranged in a specific pattern. The other devices on the Arduino board are USB board, small micro components like microcontroller and power connector. So these are the some specifications of Arduino Uno board. So what is Arduino and introduction of Arduino Uno. So let's so this is the main diagram of circuit diagram or board. So it is just credit card size board, credit card size board. So it is Arduino Uno. So it is Arduino Uno. This is the first version of Arduino. That's why it is called Arduino Uno. We already discussed in the last slide. So here starting from one, 2, 3, 4 up to 17 pins it is having. Next, the 17 pins are like this one. So crystal oscillator, voltage regulator, power button, reset button, 3.3 input volts, 5 volts, ground pin, voltage input, analog pins, microcontroller at Mega 328, ICSP pin, interintegrated communication protocol like power LED indicator, digital input, output pins, transaction and transceiver and receiver LEDs, ARE, reset button, USB like that. We have different like 17 types of pins having on the Arduino board. So let's see one by one. So the first one is USB. It can be used for both power and communication with IDE, integrated development environment. Integrated development environment. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. So barrel jack it is used for power supply. So compulsory any electronic device, just it is the primary function in order to supply the power to operate successfully. So it is used for power supply and voltage regulator. So is there any power fluctuations in the supplying power that can protected by voltage regulators? That is, it regulates and stabilizes the input and output voltage, either in input voltage or either in output voltage. This it can protected by the voltage regulator. And the crystal oscillator, it keeps the track of time and regulates the power frequency. That is the main purpose of crystal oscillator. And the reset pin, so it can be used to reset the Arduino pin. So the function is over. So in order to starting, just we want to operate starting most from starting point. So just you can reset the click on the reset button and 3.3 input volts, 3.3 output volts, 5 volts outputs, ground pin and V input pin and the analog pin, that is A0 to A5. A0 to A5 A0, A1, A2, A3, A4, A5. There are six pins A0 to A5. It can be used to read analog signals to the board. So remaining microcontrollers, that is at Mega 328, the processing and the logical unit of the board, that is microcontroller pin, and the ICSP, it is a programming header, and the board is also called SPI, serial program interface, serial peripheral interface, serial peripheral interface pin. And the power indicator, that is LED, indicates the power status of the board. When you switch on the light, the LED it blink on that board. And receive and transmit LED blink when sending and receiving. Just when you send the information to the receiver, to the receiver, and when you receive the information from the transmitter, just it can indicate by transmitter and receiver LED. And the digital input output pins, that are 14 pins capable of reading and outputting digital signals. 6 of them pins are capable of PWM, pulse width modulation. Pulse PWM stands for pulse width modulation. So AREF pin, it can be used to set an external reference voltage as the upper limit for the analog pins. The last button, the reset button, it can be used for the reset button. So these are the 17 types of pins the main circuit diagram having. These are the 17 pins, the specifications of that 17 pins. So next, the introduction, some applications of Arduino Uno board. So it is inexpensive, the first one inexpensive, cross platform, simple and clear programming environment, open source and extensible software, open source and extensible hardware. So here, what is inexpensive? Arduino boards are relatively inexpensive compared to other microcontroller platform. The least expensive version of the Arduino module can be assembled by hand. Even the pre-assembled Arduino module less cost under $50. So that this is the one of the main application of Arduino. So the cross platform. So IDE, integrated development environment, runs on Windows. The IDE, one of the open software to run the Arduino IDE, integrated development environment. So that runs on Windows, OS X, Linux operating system. Most controller systems are limited to Windows only. Windows 7, Windows 7, Windows 9, Windows 11, like that. We have different operating systems. So simple and clear programming environment, that is Arduino software IDE is used for beginners, yet flexible enough for advanced user to take advantage as well. So for teachers, it's conveniently based on the processing programming environment to know students learning to program in that environment will be familiar with the how the Arduino IDE works. So open source, extensible software, extensible hardware. So the Arduino software is published as an open source tools available for extension by experienced programmers. And hardware, it plans for to the Arduino boards are published under a Creative Commons license. So experienced circuit designers can make their own version of both module, extending it, improving it. So these are the some features or applications of Arduino Uno board: inexpensive, cross platform, simple and clear programming environment, to open source extensible software, open source extensible hardware. Let's what are the some technical specifications of Arduino Uno. So we have some many more technical specifications of Arduino Uno while we are using to developing the any IoT based device or IoT based projects. So compulsory we need the we need Arduino board and Raspberry Pi. Depends on the application. So here the technical specifications of the Arduino here. So there are 20 input and output pins present on the Arduino Uno board. So these 20 pins include 6 PWM and 6 analog pins and 8 digital pins. Next, it has also Arduino integrated Wi-Fi module such as Arduino Uno board is based on the integrated Wi-Fi ESP8266 module and 8 mega 328 microcontroller, 328p microcontroller. So it automatically draws power from the external power supply. It can also draw power from the USB module. Next, the PWM pins are pulse width modulation capable of pins. We know the input voltage board varies from 7 volts to 20 volts. The crystal oscillator present in Arduino Arduino Uno comes with a frequency of 16 megahertz. So these are the some technical specifications of Arduino. We have different input and output pins, different voltage varying from one low voltage to high voltage or high volt to low voltage, different pulse width maintain pulse width modulation, external power supply, like that. We have different technical specifications. Next, memory style of Arduino. So it is J memory. It having 1 KB of electrical programming read-only memory. Pre-installed flash memory is 0.2 KB. So EEPRAM is 1 KB and flash memory 32 KB and SRAM that is only 2 KB. So this is the main structure, memory structure of Arduino Uno. Here Arduino Uno is a standard board recommended to beginners, while Arduino Mega is used for complex projects due to the greater memory of space. So here Arduino Mega is one of the version of Arduino. So this is the structure of Arduino, memory structure of Arduino Uno, not Mega. So for Mega it is used for complex projects due to the its greater memory space. So like 0.5 KB of pre-installed flash, 1 KB of EEPRAM, electrically erasable read-only memory, and 32 KB of flash memory, and 2 KB of SRAM memory. This is pre-installed flash memory. This is the size of just memory structure of Arduino Uno. And applications of Arduino Uno, we have in every domain. In nowadays we are using in every domain. We are using depends on the application. We are using Arduino Uno module and Raspberry Pi module also. So the Arduino Uno comes with a wide range of applications. A large number of people are using Arduino boards for developing sensors and instruments that are used in scientific research. So following are the some applications in embedded system domain and security and defense system, digital electronics and robotics, parking lot of counter, weighing machines and traffic light countdown timer, medical instruments, emerging light for railways, home automation system and industrial automation system. In every domain, just we are using the need for Arduino is mandatory. Like embedded system is nothing but just we are developing some PCB boards. Some PCB boards, just embedded is nothing but it is the combination of hardware and software. So the software using, just we can dump the program into the Arduino by using IDE, integrated development environment. So that is the application of embedded system. Security and defense system. Security and defense system, in security and defense system, just we are using to identify the unauthorized persons. Unauthorized persons are fake persons, to identify the fake persons, like security and defense system. And digital electronics and robotic systems. In robotics also there is a huge mandatory application of Arduino, depends on the application. So automatic robot is nothing but automatic function. The robot can itself do the function, some specific functions that are implemented with the Arduino Uno. And parking lot counter. So there is a complex or a very huge big building. So in that there is a parking place. So just we want to go there. Before going there, just it can count the how many parks are parking in the area. Is there any space for parking or not? Like that, it count the number of vehicles and send the information to the source person. So that is the parking lot counter. and weighing machines. So in order to very mechanical machines, it can in also that also we are using, and traffic light countdown at time. So in traffic light, just we already know daily we are watching the traffic in traffic light counter also we are using Arduino counter. Just you have to wait for 60 seconds or 120 seconds, depends on the number of vehicles. Just it can the signal may open or close. There is a huge number of vehicles on the road. The time is limit to minimum time 30 seconds or 10 seconds or uh, mm, 20 seconds. There is no vehicles. It is in traffic signal. There is a minimum number of vehicles. Then the time limitation is very huge, or 120 or to 140, 150. So it is controlled by ATC, ATC, automatic traffic control, automatic uh, traffic control system. That can depends on Arduino. In that also I'm using Arduino board and medical instruments. So in doctors, some scanners, X-ray like that. In that also there is a need of Arduino is mandatory, and emerging light for railways. So in just most of the rail trains, it runs daily, day and night. So the in lights also they are using home automation to develop the home automation, and industrial automation also we are using. So these are the some real-time applications of Arduino Uno. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 domains. So next to features. What are the features of Arduino Uno? The features of Arduino Uno here. Arduino programming is by using IDE, Integrated Development Environment. So the Arduino programming is simplified version of C++, the just extension, which makes learning process too easy. And Arduino IDE is used to control the functions of board. It further sends a set of specification to the microcontroller. So the microcontroller only it can control all the functions on the board. Arduino does not need any extra board to piece to load a new code. So only the credit card size board only it don't want any external piece of devices. Arduino it can read the analog and digital input signal. The hardware and software part is easy to use and implement. So these are the some features of Arduino. So by using IDE, so it is very important to know Arduino IDE, integrated development environment. So in order to run the uh, board with the help of software, that is IDE, integrated development environment. So next one, Arduino pinout. So these are just the elaboration of that pins. We discussed in the first three slides. The Arduino pins we are having 17 types of pin. That is the only titles. So this is the elaboration of that pins. The Arduino Uno is a standard board of Arduino, which is based on the Atmega 328P microcontroller. It is easier to use the other types of Arduino boards. So here this is Arduino Uno board. So it having 17 types of pins. The elaboration of these pins are VCC, most, ground, MISO, serial acknowledgement, reset to transceiver, receiver, interrupt 1, interrupt 2, SPI, serial clock, like that we have different pins. So let's see one by one. So here at Mega 328 microcontroller, it is used to a single chip microcontroller at the Atmel family. The processor core inside of 8 bits. It is a low cost, low powered and simple microcontroller. The Arduino Uno and Nano models are based on the Atmega 328 microcontroller. So this is the first pin specification of this board Atmega 328 microcontroller. The second one, voltage regulator. So in order to prevent the power fluctuation of input and output power, just we use voltage regulator. So the main function of voltage regulator is that only. So here the input voltage is 5 volts. The primary function of voltage regulator to regulate voltage levels with the Arduino board. So that is the main. Ground, compulsory the circuit having one ground pin. The ground pins are used to ground the circuit, that is okay. And TXT and RXD. TXT stands for transceiver and receiver. It uses the pins are it is used for serial communication. Serial communication. The transmitter is used for transmitting the data. The RXD used for receiving the data. It also represents the successful flow of the data. And USB interface. The USB interface is used for uh, plug-in with the USB cable. It allows both to connect to the computer. It is essential for the programming of the Arduino board. And reset button. So it is used to add a reset button to the connection. And SCK. SCK stands for serial clock. Serial clock. So there are clock pulses which is used to synchronize the transmission of data. So the main purpose of serial clocks in order to maintain the synchronization among the transmission bits. And the MISO stands for master input and slave output. Master input and slave output. The slave line in the MISO pin is used to send the data to the master. Next, VCC, ground supply, modulated DC power supply, which is used to regulate the ICs used in the connection. It is also called as the primary voltage for ICs present on the Arduino board. So these are the some pin description of previous diagram. So next to VCC, it is modulated DC voltage, that is over. Next to crystal oscillator. So it is the main function of crystal oscillator has a frequency of 16 megahertz, which makes the Arduino a powerful board. ICSP, it stands for in circuit serial programming. It is very important pin. In order to connect the programming cable, the users can program and Arduino boards firmware using the ICSP pins. So the program or firmware with the advanced functionalities is received by microcontroller with the help of the ICSP header. Next to ICSP header consists of 6 pins. So here VCC, MOSI, ground, reset button, serial clock, master in slave output. So this is the structure of inter circuit serial. So ICSP header pin. Next one, SDA, it stands for serial data. SCL, serial clock. SDA, serial data. SCL, serial. S for serial, CL for clock. It is used by the slave and master to send and receive the data. It is called as a data line, while SCL is called a clock line. So it is SCL. It is defined as the line that carries the clock data. It is data, serial data. It is used to synchronize the transfer of data between the two devices. The serial clock is generated by the device and it is also called as master data. So next to SPI. SPI stands for Serial Peripheral Interface Communication Protocol. It is popularly used by the microcontroller to communicate with the one or more peripheral devices quickly. It uses conductors for data sending, synchronization, and device selection for communication. The very important term, that is SPI, Serial Peripheral Interface. Next one, MOSI. MOSI stands for master output and master output and slave input. Input from the slave and master from the output. So MSO and SSK are driven by the master only. So SS stands for master select. It is select line which is used by the master. It acts as the enable line. So the last one, I2C. It is I2C, IIC, double IC. It is stands for inter-integrated circuit. I2C is a serial communication protocol that uses serial clock and serial data to receive and send data between the two devices. So these are the elaboration of that 17 pins of Arduino Uno board, previous one. So the last one, differences between Arduino and Arduino Uno board and Raspberry Pi. So what are the main differences? Here we have in 2005 the classrooms of interactive design institute in IARE, Italy, first introduced by the Arduino board. So in 2012, Raspberry Pi came into force in 2012 upon the first Raspberry Pi Foundation in US, UK. So the control unit of Arduino is formally Atmega family. So it is the family for ARM family. So it is Atmega 328P microcontroller. For Arduino, simply ARM microcontroller family. Both are microcontroller only, but families are different. Arduino is based on a microcontroller, so it is just a little bit microprocessor. It is designed to control the electrical components connected to the circuit in a system. It is computes data and produces valuable outputs. Control components in a system based on the outcome of its computation. Arduino boards having simple hardware and software structure, while Raspberry Pi boards having complex architecture, hardware and software. CPU architecture is 8 bits, it is 64 bits. So the range of Raspberry Pi little bit more. It is used little RAM and 2 KB, while Raspberry Pi requires more RAM, that is 1 GB. It is just 2 KB, 1 GB. Minimum 8 KB are different. And the clock of a processing speed of 16 megahertz we discussed in the oscillator frequency, while Raspberry Pi clock's processing speed of 1.4 gigahertz. Next, it has input and output driven strength, while Raspberry Pi has input output current drive strength. So it consumes only 200 megahertz, 200 megawatt power, but Raspberry Pi 700 megawatts, it consumes 700 megawatts power. And the logical level 5, the logical level only 3, the highest the level for Arduino is 5 volts, and for Raspberry Pi is only 3 volts. And it does not have internet support, but it is built Ethernet port and Wi-Fi support. It higher current to drive strength, it is lower current drive strength. Some of the applications of Arduino, traffic light, just we discussed in the last slide only. Traffic light, countdown timer, weighing machines, etc. We have different applications, but some of the applications of Raspberry Pi is stop motion cameras, robot controllers, and game servers. The operating systems are required in Arduino. The operating system is required in Raspberry Pi. It is Raspberry Pi. It is Linux. It is for Windows. It is Linux operating system. Two tiny cores of Arduino with 32 megahertz. Single core for 700 megahertz. Processors type tiny core Arduino with 32 megahertz. But here single core of with 700 megahertz. So these are the 17 types of differences between Arduino and Arduino Uno board and Raspberry Pi board. So both are similar to use, but based on our requirement, just we may use either Arduino Uno board or Raspberry Pi board. So both are just belongs to it is Arduino for microcontroller family. Just it is belongs to microprocessor family. So these are the differences of Arduino Uno and Raspberry Pi. So these are the references I used for this lecture. Remaining real-time use cases with interfacing devices with Arduino Uno and Raspberry Pi and with Python program. Let's continue with the next class. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.